Everyone, hope you are doing well. A bit of news came out last week. I'll tell you what, this is the worst exclusive I've ever seen. It's not necessarily this topic, Gonzo, but someone had an exclusive regarding the London Stadium, the Athletics movie. We'll get into that in a minute. But they're exclusive. They released it about 2 hours before the Frankfurt game on Thursday. I mean, why would you not just keep it till Friday afternoon or something? So it's sort of got lost completely, as you'd expect.
I think it's called burying bad news, actually. It's you sort of bury it where you hope it's going to disappear. The funny thing is, it's not particularly bad news for West Ham. It's just bad news for the legacy and all the promises that were made at the time when the bid was won. And I think it's really important because obviously it's a West Ham channel and we're very West Ham biased on it, quite rightly so. But there is a story to the stadium and there is a sort of sense of right and wrong here, which is, even though we were under different ownership, when they built the stadium, West Ham were approached, said, look, do you want to come and help us build this stadium? Would you like it afterwards? If you want it afterwards, we can make it so it can be converted into a football stadium. We turned around and said, no, we're not interested. We don't want it. That's why it's so hard to reconfigure now. We didn't pay any money in. UK Athletics, who don't have much money at all, because athletics is just not as big as it used to be in terms of the big global sports that bring in revenue. Athletics isn't up there, but it used to be. It used to be in its heyday in the 80s. It was the biggest. The Olympics was the biggest event in the world of sport, and and athletes like Carl Lewis and whatever got massive sponsorship. I mean, Carl Lewis was as famous as Michael Jordan was and things like that. It's really changed. So if UK Athletics didn't have an awful lot of money and UK Athletics paid in, I think I might have this wrong. It was something like 15 million up front, which is a lot of money for them. So very much they see it as part of their stadium and they see it as part of their legacy. And it is, whatever happens in this, it is important that UK Athletics are looked after because they were the ones that paid the money in. And without the Athletics, there wouldn't have been Olympic Games. There wouldn't be a Stratford. There wouldn't be any stadiums, which I know, obviously for some people, that might not have been a bad thing. So that being said, unfortunately, the sport has dwindled in popularity and they're just not pulling, hundreds. Well, the stadium was built as 90,000 capacity, Geo, and they're just not pulling in even 60, 70,000 for a league meeting. It's just not happening. So it actually doesn't make sense for them to be there.
For those wondering what the report said, the article suggests that the Athletics are set to leave the London Stadium, that there are already discussions, encouraging discussions, if you like. And while they're not close to being completed, there is optimism that an agreement will be reached between the UK Athletics and the stadium owners, in which we'll see the Athletics leave the London Stadium and leave West Ham United as the only tenants of the stadium, which will mean that they no longer have to convert it to the Athletics and back again, vice versa. We'll also give West Ham a lot more control over what the stadium looks like and what we can do with the stadium. And I think the word transformation was used, but I'm going to try and stay away from that myself because I don't believe there will be such a thing as a transformation. I think my idea of a transformation is a bit different to the journalist's idea of a transformation. I don't think a lick of paint is that. That's a lick of paint to me. But it does suggest that West Ham will then have a lot more control over it. As Gonzo was saying, the UKA need to be, I guess, reimbursed, if you like, and the figure that's been banded around is 10 to 15 million. That's the payoff they will get to exit their 50-year deal with the London Stadium and leave West Ham as sole tenants. I mean, going back to the West Ham side of things then, Gonzo, this is good news for us. It feels inevitable. It feels like this has always been the game plan to some extent from West Ham, which is we'll go in there, will be a bit of a hassle. The stadium will hemorrhage cash. The stadium will lose money. And in the end, the only solution will be to get rid of the Athletics. And it costs the stadium $3 million a year to have to convert it from football to athletics and back again. $3 million a year. We need to get that off our books. Because obviously over a 50-year tenancy, it's 150 million. That's without taking inflation into account and stuff. So from a West Ham perspective, though, happy days.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be so. And the stadium does hemorrhage massive amounts of money. And there's a lot of the phrase gets bandied about vanity projects, and it's actually it's a really good phrase, and it's apt in this sense. And what do we mean by a vanity project? Actually, a concert, the baseball being held there, for instance. It's a vanity project because it looks good on London that we can hold. I think it's called Major League Baseball. I think that's what it's called, Major League Baseball. It looks good that we can hold it, but actually it costs us money to do it. So there was a big uproar about the stadium costing taxpayers money anyway, and the benefit to the taxpayers is negligible. But actually, by putting things on like the baseball, actually, it's even losing a lot more money because you just never get back through selling, I don't know, whatever, 60,000 tickets, 50,000 tickets for the baseball, than you would get for converting it to make it that game a viable option to play it in there. Of course, there's no additional TV revenue for something like the baseball because Major League Baseball's already got its own TV deal. So it's just an additional game. So there's no extra money coming in. So actually, if they can cut out those vanity projects and things like that, then and just keep it as a football stadium, then it will start to yield money. And obviously the big thing is, Geo, once you get that and once they need to sort something out with the naming rights. One of the biggest things, it's ridiculous that stadium is a historical stadium. Usain Bolt ran that stadium. Mo Farah won gold in that stadium. Jessica Rennis. It already has a history. It's an Olympic stadium. The area's being regenerated. It hosts Premier League football. Now it's been hosting European football. It's crazy that they cannot get a naming partner for that to bring in another 5 million a year at least. That's what it should get. It really should. And it's not for me to tell anybody what their job is, but that's another revenue source. I find it unfathomable that it hasn't been done yet. I'll tell you now, Geo, if you were in charge, and right, if you worked at London Stadium and your job, I know you, and one of your jobs was to get a sponsor for that stadium naming rights, I'm telling you, mate, you'd have it done in a week.
I'd go to Manscaped because, funnily enough, Manscaped have also sponsored this video as well. While the London Stadium are looking at getting rid of unwanted tenants, you can get rid of unwanted hair by using Manscaped as well. Head on over there. At the minute, they've got the performance package, £209 worth of goodies, including the lawnmower, which does you downstairs, including the weed whacker, which does your lugs and your footer. You get some lotions like Gonzo's got there. You get a bag as well to carry everything around in, and of course, some nice boxer shorts as well. So that £209 bundle is down to £110. But don't stop there, because if you use the code HammersChat, it takes it down to £88 as well, because we're giving you 20% off absolutely everything, plus free shipping worldwide. So if you go into the basket and use the HammersChat code, we're going to be shaving off as much of the total as you can, save you a little bit, in order for you to shave downstairs and make it look as big as it can as well. Happy days. Everybody's a winner, including yourself. Look good, feel good. Head over to Manscaped and have a little look and see if there's any grooming items that can make you feel that you're best. Gonzo, one thing I'll say about this deal, though, it sort of plays into a little bit of it's a domino effect, really, isn't it? Because as we know, March 2023 is the golden date, if you like. That's when Sullivan and Gold can sell West Ham United if they wish and no longer have to hand over any profits to the government as well. So this stadium news, if you like, I mean, this is only going to, not only is it going to be encouraged by West Ham United because it means we can do more things with the ground, not only is it going to be encouraged probably by most West Ham fans because hopefully the ground can then improve, but it'll also be encouraged by David Sullivan and David Gold as West Ham owners, I guess.
Well, it is a pivotal date, Geo, and I'll be honest, I have groomed so vigorously that I probably won't have the Manscaped until 2023 again myself. But there is this looming date hanging over us. And you talk about the biggest secret in football, which you're right about that. But the other one is that Gold and Sullivan obviously bought West Ham for the long term and to bequeath it to their children. And obviously, most of us don't believe that and never have done. And we've all sort of been aware that come the end of this selling period, we would have new owners. Now, the really funny thing is, a story came out yesterday. I don't know if you saw it. Really interesting story yesterday, which was that David Sullivan is loaning somebody 30 million, loaning them so as they can buy Birmingham City. Did you see that story?
No.
Oh, there you go.
The only thing I've seen about Birmingham is that the new owners might want Diego Costa. That's all I've seen.
Okay, well, the new owners are being lent the money for the purchase by David Sullivan. Now, as I understand it, there is a stipulation in that contract that if they can't meet the payments, David Sullivan actually takes ownership of Birmingham City Football Club. There you go.
I'll tell you what. I've got a lot of I've got a lot of sympathy right now for Birmingham City fans. This is bad news for them.
I'm not making that up. Oh, well, why would I?
I believe you because I've seen a bit about new Birmingham owners today about Diego Costa. So as in, but Christ, my heart goes out to Birmingham fans at the minute. The last thing you want is Sullivan being involved with your club again after what he'd done.
But why would you put that stipulation in the contract? Because obviously, what you can't do is own two clubs in this country. For him to put that stipulation in there, he must be sort of cocksure in his own mind that by the time he relinquishes control of West Ham, basically by the time that the new owners might not be in a position to make payments and might default, then he possibly won't be owning the club anyway, so he can go back to Birmingham City and resume his good work there.
I guess he's protecting his, investment, his loan. He's protecting his loan, really. That payments aren't met, that he's got something worth some sort of money as an asset in terms of cash money in the bank. He's got an asset there. So I half get it, but it is interesting, isn't it? And we'll always look at things like this and probably make a bigger story than it actually is. We'll probably make a mountain out of a molehill as we do. But it does sort of add up then, like you said, with this thing. But going back to the stadium, I'll be honest, I don't have much faith. I don't think this changes too much for West Ham. Well, it's good news. I think it might change it for West Ham in regards to it being easier to purchase and perhaps more attractive for somebody buying West Ham United, because while we all laughed at the Pi Capital stuff, and understandably so, one of their large parts of their bid, if you like, was around the London Stadium and what they could do with the London Stadium going forward. And you'd imagine that would have a bit of a sex appeal to any investors at West Ham, because that stadium is a big part of it. Saying, well, how much control have you got over that ground? Well, actually, we've got complete control over it. Here you go, look. I'd imagine we make the package of buying West Ham become more attractive with the London Stadium in there. But until we have new owners, with the current owners, I've got no confidence that anything would really change. We've just seen the reconfiguration of the West Ham getting done this summer, where they told fans, you'll be news that are moving, you'll be closer to the action. The stands moved back. Everybody's moving back. Nobody's moved closer to the pitch than they were this season. They're all moving further away. There's some people have been there since 2016 around the same people, so they've got their own little pockets. Now, obviously, a year and a half has been taken away from COVID, but they've been there for 6 years now. They've got used to people around each other. Yeah. Now they're being split up again. You think, oh, come on. Crowds organically grow and get used to each other. The standing sections work themselves out, so on and so forth. So that the West Ham, which is a quarter of the stadium, is now been all broken up again. It's almost like they're going back to 2016, which is you're going to have to get used to stuff again. You have to get used to more people. And then when they dressed it up is we're going to make it a better stand, there's more higher bands in the stand now than there was this season. So it's like more income, essentially. And it's things like that. It just makes me think, well, what can the club do to make this stadium better? And I know everybody's answer is, well, bar knock it down and start again. You're going to have to get the stands closer. Well, that's going to cost tens and tens of millions. And they won't do it. And to be honest with you, I'll say this. I understand why they won't do it. Because why would they spend tens of millions? They're selling out every week anyway. They're selling their 62,500 seats anyway. Why would they spend tens of millions? They're not going to get a return on that investment whatsoever. So I don't think much will change actually for West Ham unless we get new owners, or when we get new owners rather. And then it opens up the possibility for the stadium becoming a bit more of a football stadium, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's so much to discuss in this subject as well. But getting those stands closer is the key. There's a reason that somebody in a home game, a referee in a home game against Olympique Lyonnais, can really be as poor as he was without recompense, because we can't influence him. We can't make him feel uncomfortable, and he makes terrible decisions, and we can't. As fans, we're just not close enough to influence our own personality on on the proceedings on the pitch. Collectively, we can all sing together, but actually, I think you'll find a lot of the most intimidating things is when it's close to the pitch. It's actually the individual things that are said. You know, the old chicken run. The opposition scared to get a throw in, don't even want to throw in over that side. You know, because it's just intimidating. And that is, look, it might not be nice, but that is part of football, and that's the thing. We can create a lot of noise, but what we can't do is intimidate at the moment because we're too far away from the pitch. With the other thing about the stadium and about when you mentioned Pi Capital and about the area, this is to use an American term. This is prime real estate here. What you're looking at now. What's happening in Stratford is a complete metamorphosis of the area. I mean, it's unrecognisable. When I was a kid. I found out when I was a kid, my dentist, you don't think I never used to go to one, would you? But my dentist was in Manor Park, round the corner. I spent a lot of time, I had a lot of friends in Stratford. It's unrecognisable for what it used to be. And Stratford's becoming the new Canary Wharf. But actually, Stratford's becoming almost a city within a city now. It's becoming like the new London there. And there's, property prices are only going in one direction. It's only becoming more regenerated more and more. And from that respect, actually the Olympics was a success. They wanted to regenerate an area. It's happening. I think the unfortunate thing is a lot of people local to that area can't afford to live there anymore, but that's another topic altogether. But what it does mean is the stadium becomes a prime location, so anybody wanting to get their hands on it, you may well find, don't rule this out, I'm not sure we'll necessarily see it, Gio, but don't rule out that as part of it, if athletics goes, then there's no need for the athletics warm-up track right next to it. Now, that's a big, big area there, okay? Also, what you have is a situation whereby if anybody buys it, and if West Ham buy it, they can get ownership of the stadium and that track, then actually don't rule out flattening of that stadium, because you may well find out that when in a combined area, if actually on that area you can build a 60,000 stadium that's compact, and you can also fit in with the expanded one, the footprint that we've got there is probably enough to fit 60,000 stadiums in it. So don't rule out that we get a 60,000 stadium there, and what the owners get is actually the ability to build whatever they want on that other bit. Could be apartments, could be anything, and that in itself may well go to fund the building of the stadium. It can happen, but there's a massive game of chicken going on here, which could well end up in a massive, huge property deal, and that's why Pi Capital are interested.
More and more to come on this topic. But there you go. There's the exclusive that came out on Thursday. Got buried, as Gonzo says, or missed, as I say. Depends which side of the fence you sit on. But bad news for UK Athletics, or good news. They're getting a £10-15 million payoff. Good news for West Ham United, definitely, and definitely good news for David Gold and David Sullivan. If you enjoyed this video, do drop a like on it, subscribe to the channel. Myself and Gonzo, catch you in a bit.